Iran just destroyed Israel's biggest oil refinery with Kheibar Shekan missiles. That's the claim. And it's a powerful one, because it hits three nerves at once: energy, fear, and inevitability. If the biggest refinery is gone, people instantly assume the next domino is fuel shortages, blackouts, economic shock, and the war entering a new, uglier phase. But you deserve the real version of this story, because right now the internet is blending claims, old footage, and partial facts into one dramatic conclusion. So here's what we're going to do in this breakdown. We're going to separate what Iran is claiming, what Israel-linked reporting has actually confirmed, what we know about the Haifa refinery's real vulnerability from prior strikes, and what it would truly mean if a major refinery took serious damage, without letting one viral caption write the ending. And here's the early payoff so you don't have to wait. Even if the refinery wasn't destroyed, the mere claim can still move markets and behavior, because energy wars are as much about confidence as they are about craters. Now let's start with the core question. When people say Israel's biggest oil refinery, they're almost always referring to the Bazan oil refinery complex in Haifa Bay, Israel's main refining hub. And yes, that site has been hit before in the broader Israel-Iran exchange. Israeli reporting has described real damage in past missile attacks. Pipelines and transmission lines hit, some parts shut down, and at one point all facilities shut down after a strike that also killed workers. The Times of Israel. So, the refinery is not some mythical, untouchable target. It has real vulnerabilities and real consequences when it gets hit. But it's vulnerable and it was destroyed today are two different statements. Now, what is Iran claiming right now? Iran-linked outlets and secondary reports say the IRGC claimed it struck the Haifa refinery using Kheibar Shekan or solid fuel ballistic missiles. Money control. That's the claim. But what is the strongest counterweight in credible reporting? In at least one widely circulated report that cites Reuters, it notes that while sirens sounded in the Haifa area, there were no reports in Israel of anything being hit. At that time, meaning the "we hit the refinery" narrative was not immediately confirmed on the Israeli side. Money control. So right away, you should treat this as what it is: a contested event. Iran says it hit. Some reporting says no confirmed hit was reported in Israel in that moment. And social media videos are circulating, but videos are the easiest thing in the world to mislabel, especially in war. Now, let's talk about the missile name that keeps getting repeated. Kheibar Shekan. This is a real Iranian solid-fuel medium-range ballistic missile, widely described as operated by Iran's IRGC Aerospace Force, n.wikipedia.org. So the missile itself isn't fictional. But here's where people get tricked. A real missile name doesn't automatically validate a specific strike claim. Anyone can attach a real weapon name to an unverified explosion clip and call it proof. So we need a better way to evaluate what's happening. Here's the framework. If Iran truly destroyed Israel's biggest refinery, you would expect at least three things to show up quickly. 1. Bazan filings or operational announcements. In previous strikes, Bazan reported damage and operational impacts in filings and statements. The Times of Israel. 2. Consistent independent confirmation. Not one outlet quoting one claim, but multiple credible reports converging on the same basic fact: a confirmed hit, verified damage, and a measurable disruption. 3. Visible downstream consequences. Not oil prices spiked on a rumor, but actual supply adjustments, Israel shifting fuel logistics, emergency measures, refinery run rate changes, import adjustments, or sustained warnings. Without those, destroyed is still a word doing emotional work, not a verified outcome. Now, this doesn't mean nothing happened. It means the most viral version may be exaggeration. And here's why exaggeration is so common in refinery stories. Because refineries are the perfect propaganda target. If you can convince people you took out energy, you don't just scare civilians, you pressure leadership, you signal reach, you create uncertainty, and you can move the global oil narrative even if the physical damage is limited. That's why you see these claims paired with dramatic phrases like Israel has no fuel or energy collapse. Now let's get real about what happens if a major refinery like Bazan takes serious damage, because even the possibility matters. A refinery isn't one machine. It's a web: crude intake, distillation, cracking units, power systems, pipelines, storage tanks, loading infrastructure. You don't have to turn the whole place into rubble to create a major disruption. You can hit power and knock out operations. You can hit pipelines and force partial shutdowns. You can cause fires that require safety stoppages even when core units survive. And because refineries are safety-driven environments, even localized damage can trigger broad operational pauses. In fact, in prior incidents, reporting described pipelines and transmission lines hit, partial shutdowns, and other facilities in the complex stopping while refining continued. The Times of Israel. And in another prior strike period, Israeli reporting said all facilities were shut down after a deadly missile strike, with damage tied to the on-site power station. The Times of Israel. So if you're wondering, can a missile strike disrupt it? Yes, that's already happened. The only question tonight is, did it happen this time, to the degree people are claiming? Now let's talk about the part people don't want to admit. Even if the refinery is damaged, it does not automatically mean Israel runs out of fuel tomorrow. Countries don't run on one refinery like a generator. Israel has fuel inventories, import routes, and the ability to prioritize. There are still consequences: price, logistics, industry disruption. But the jump from hit to collapse is usually a manipulation leap. And that leap is intentional, because panic spreads faster than facts. Now, quick pattern break. If the only proof you're seeing is one clip and a caption that says, Haifa Refinery destroyed, pause and ask one simple question. Is this clip clearly geolocated and time-stamped by a reputable outlet? Or is it just being reposted with different captions? Because the same footage gets recycled constantly in war coverage. Fires from one place get labeled as another. Old refinery footage gets passed off as new. Even legitimate clips get misdated. So the disciplined viewer does not react to the clip. The disciplined viewer reacts to Chio's converging confirmation. Now, there's another reason this is tricky. Israel has censorship and operational security norms that can limit immediate details about strategic sites. That's real. So it's possible for damage to be real and reporting to lag. But that's exactly why you watch for the second-order signals. Company statements, measurable operational impacts, and follow-on reporting that stabilizes. Fake stories mutate. Real stories stabilize. Now let's talk about why this claim, true or not, matters for the bigger war. Because energy targets are escalation accelerants. A military base hit is one kind of escalation. A city hit is another. But energy infrastructure hits create something different. They can turn a regional war into a global economic shock. And we're already seeing the broader energy system under stress from this war environment. AP reporting has described disruptions to regional oil and gas infrastructure and supply routes, contributing to price spikes and global market anxiety. appnews.com. So if a major Israeli refinery were confirmed down, it would add fuel, literally and economically, to an already volatile situation. Now, let's deal with the exact phrase in your title: destroyed. Destroyed is a final word. It implies gone, unrecoverable, dead. But in real industrial warfare, the more accurate words are usually damaged, disrupted, partially shut, temporarily offline, reduced output. And those differences matter because they change what victory means. If a refinery is temporarily offline, that's disruption. If a refinery is offline for weeks or months, that's strategic economic pressure. If a refinery is irreparable, that's a major escalatory milestone. Right now, based on what we have publicly, the most responsible stance is Iran claims it hit the Haifa refinery with Kheibar Shekan missiles, but immediate independent confirmation has been mixed, with some reporting citing no Israeli reports of a hit at that time. Money control. That's not a satisfying yes or no, but it's the truth of the information environment. Now, let me give you the 3 signals you should watch next to know whether this is real, exaggerated, or somewhere in between. First signal: Bazan and Israeli operational statements. In past incidents, Bazan communicated damage and operational impacts, including estimates and shutdown notices. The Times of Israel. If this is a major confirmed hit, you should see clear, consistent operational language. Second signal: independent reporting convergence, not just one outlet quoting Iran. Watch for multiple high-quality outlets confirming specifics, especially those with on-the-ground sourcing. Third signal: duration. A refinery hit that matters strategically doesn't disappear from the story in 12 hours. It shows up as sustained operational disruption, repair timelines, and measurable economic impacts. Now, I want to hit you with the uncomfortable version people don't like to talk about. Even if this specific destroyed claim is exaggerated, the direction of the conflict is still moving toward energy and infrastructure pressure, because that's how you impose pain, when you can't win cleanly in other domains. And once that door opens, once energy sites become normal targets in the public imagination, it becomes harder to close it, because every side starts justifying retaliation. And retaliation ladders are how wars widen. So here's the clean takeaway. Iran's claim that it struck Israel's Haifa refinery with Kheibar Shekan missiles is circulating widely, but immediate independent confirmation has been mixed, with Reuters-cited reporting noting no Israeli reports of a confirmed hit at that moment. Money control. We do know the Haifa Bazan refinery has been damaged by Iranian missile attacks in prior episodes, causing partial shutdowns and at one point broader shutdown and severe disruption. So the vulnerability is real, even if today's viral framing is not fully verified. The Times of Israel. And if this ever becomes a sustained pattern, confirmed energy infrastructure hits, it doesn't just change Israel's fuel situation. It changes the global risk premium in a war that's already stressing energy flows and markets. AP News. Now tell me this, because it's the real question behind the headline. Do you think the energy infrastructure targeting is mainly about physical disruption, or mainly about psychological and economic pressure, creating a constant risk premium that punishes everyone even when the physical damage is limited?